Democratic Congressman Jim Langevin, who was paralyzed at age 16 from a shooting accident, told reporters that it was, quote, an odd choice for a member of Congress to invite someone who threatened the life of the president. Ted Nugent, who never breaks character as a professional madman, then said that Congressman Langevin probably has crap for brains. NBC's Luke Russert took on the hopeless task last night of trying to make sense of what Nugent had said.
Why does Congressman Lonergan have for brains?
Because he lied, claiming that somehow I didn't feel sorry for the victims of violent crime.
Is that an appropriate thing to say about a sitting member of Congress in a
genuine
wheelchair?
fecal material instead of brain matter to actually continue such a vicious, hateful lie? I think he qualifies.
That it's an appropriate thing to say in the United States Capitol about a disabled member of Congress?
Is it appropriate for him to claim that I care less about crime victims than he does? Are you kidding me?
Joining me now for an exclusive interview, Democratic Congressman from Rhode Island, Jim Langevin. Congressman, did you say, and is it appropriate for you to have said, if you did, that Ted Nugent cares less about crime victims than you do?
That was never put to me, and I never said those words. What I did say is that Ted Nugent was an odd choice to bring as a guest to the State of the Union after comments he made alluded to the fact that he would bring harm in some way to the President of the United States that, as you pointed out, would prompt a Secret Service investigation. As simple as that. But I'm not going to let Ted Nugent distract from the real message and the thing that we're involved with. I was proud to organize a group of my colleagues where each of us gave up our one State of the Union guest ticket that we each received to someone who's been a victim of gun violence or who's lost some of the gun violence, who's had their lives shattered by gun violence, because it's so important, I believe, that we enact sensible, responsible gun safety legislation like universal background checks. I'd also like to see a clustered assault weapons ban, and I'd like to see an elimination of these extended round gun magazines that hold 30 or 100 rounds of ammunition that are designed for nothing other than weapons of war that are designed to kill large numbers of people very quickly.
It was all fascinating, as always, is to watch what Republicans do not applaud for when the president is speaking. But there came that moment when the president was asking for a vote, repeatedly asking for a vote on this, that eventually John Boehner, as we just showed in the video, eventually stood and eventually clapped. What did you make of that?
Well, I'm glad that Speaker Boehner, something resonated with him there, that he agreed with, yes, those victims of gun violence, their families, all those who have lost their lives, they deserve a vote. And let us debate this issue on the floor of the House. Let us make our case on both sides of the aisle, and then let us have an up or down vote. I believe that we can make the case for responsible, sensible gun safety legislation so that we keep guns out of the hands of criminals. But if Speaker Boehner won't bring a bill to the floor, we're never going to have that opportunity. So I implore Speaker Boehner to bring a bill to the floor and let us have that debate and let us have that vote up or down.
Let's listen to what the president said about what he hopes can be achieved with this legislation.
Our actions will not prevent every senseless act of violence in this country. In fact, no laws, no initiatives, no administrative acts will perfectly solve all the challenges I've outlined tonight. But we were never sent here to be perfect. We were sent here to make what difference we can.
That's something we keep hearing from the NRA side of this argument. Oh, you know, this won't stop every mass murderer. Well, no one says that every law stops everyone who's interested in breaking that law.
Well, that's absolutely right, and we're not looking for the perfect solution because there is no such thing as the perfect solution. What we are is looking to try to manage the risk, kind of close that aperture of vulnerability, if you will, so that we take as much risk out of this as possible, and it means that we take guns out of the hands of criminals or those who are in some form of mental illness that would preclude them from owning it because they have a mental illness, a form of mental illness that would bring harm to themselves or to others. So, look, in my case, Again, as you pointed out early in the program, I was a young police cadet. I was 16 years old when I was accidentally shot and paralyzed. I was in the police locker room. Police officer's gun accidentally went off. The bullet went through my neck and severed my spinal cord. I've been paralyzed ever since. Now, my accident happened at the hands of two weapons experts at the police SWAT team. Among the most safest environments you would think you'd be in. So it just goes to show that, you know, an accident can happen anywhere, and thankfully my accident didn't happen as a result of gun violence. It was an accident. But it just goes to show that, you know, the answer to keeping our kids safe and keeping our community safe isn't more guns, as the NRA would suggest.
Congressman, thank you very much for joining us tonight, and thank you for making the State of the Union more meaningful for all of us by coming up with the idea of inviting victims of gun violence. Thank you.
Thank you. My guest was Jim Tyrell, who lost his sister 9 years ago to gun violence, and many others had powerful stories to tell in there. It puts a human face on a real important issue.
We're going to post some video on our website of what your guest Jim Tyrell had to say. Actually, that's going to be on our website. We'll be able to see that later. Thank you very much, Congressman.